G'day, Professor Joseph Drew here. I'm here to talk to you this time about the common good and basically what is the councillor's role in council, in local government. That is searching out and facilitating and coordinating this common good. So what is the common good? I've spoke to you about this before in other videos in relation to the natural law. The common good is a help accruing to people as a result of their cooperation, which is more than the simple sum of parts. Now let me tease out that definition a little bit. It's cooperation. It's not people doing things for other people. It's us all altering our aims a little so that we all end up better off. It doesn't require us to be altruists, because by cooperating, we actually gain something ourselves. And it's more than a simple sum of parts. Why? There's a few reasons. When we get together and we all work together, we can achieve far more than any one person or one entity can do by themselves. And I'll give you an example a little later in this video that shows you that. Second, in the act of actually striving together for a common goal, we produce more than the thing that we set out to achieve. What we do is we produce essentially community. We get to know one another. We get to work with one another. We get to think and interact with one another. And in doing so, we form that community rather than just a group of people who happen to be living in the same geographic area. So what is the councillor's role? It's the key role. Councillors, mayor, deputy mayors. You need to search out this common good. And then you need to get the disparate parties together and get them talking about how they cooperate to make things better for everyone. And because you have the contacts, because you are leaders in your community, because you can also communicate with higher tiers of government and you have some authority, you're in the best position to do this, and by doing so, serve your community and advance your community's interests. Now, it starts with a little bit of introspection, thinking about how could we all cooperate better and be better off? What are the things that we could do together which would yield better results? This is, I need to be very, very clear about this. This is not about local government paying for things, taking over things, doing things. It's about local government getting different interested parties together in the same room and get them converging and thinking about the same objectives so that we coordinate our actions. So it starts with the introspection. You guys know your community well. That's why you've been elected. We need you to help think about how the community can work together, how all the different parts of the community fit together. So we then need to engage with these other parts of the community. We need to get them together in the room. We need to start talking about how they could alter their actions a little bit in order to help one another. So there's a lot of people skills involved here. And as I said, it's not providing things. It's merely facilitating things. There's a very big difference. In my forthcoming book, Saving Local Government, I talk about the dangers of this modern public management paradigm called public value. You probably heard it. That's when councillors and local government executives are encouraged to go out and find things that community wants, then spend the money and do those things for the community. This is completely different. This is creating human flourishing, not creating public value. What we're trying to do is think about and discover things that the community can do for themselves. They just need a little bit of help, a little bit of coordination, a little bit of facilitation. It's not about local government spending the money or doing the things necessarily. Sometimes it might be necessary for them to spend some money or do some parts. But it should never be local government doing everything, because the whole purpose is to get the different parts of our community together working for a single goal, because that's how we will form a community rather than simply a group of people who happen to be living in the same geographic area. So here's an example of what I mean about the common good. Medical centres. Lots of rural communities have a lot of trouble getting a medical doctor. Okay? Now, the solution is not for local government to take over. The solution is not local government building a medical centre, funding a medical centre, going and finding themselves a doctor, paying the doctor's salary, doing all the paperwork associated with running a medical centre. That is not the solution. It's not an enduring solution. The solution, rather, is to coordinate different stakeholders and interested parties and get them together working for this common good. So, for instance, local government might coordinate with local universities, with state governments and federal governments to attract rural practitioners to rural areas, to let them know, hey, we want a rural doctor in this area, to even be aware that there's an opening, to perhaps advocate for streamlined immigration processes for doctors who are willing to work in remote areas, to make representations to the Australian Medical Association and peak bodies like that, letting them know that there is a problem and trying to get them to provide you with ideas to help the situation and mitigate the problem. Local government can coordinate with non-government organisations. They might have a doctor. You might have an aged care centre in the region, or they might be working with a vulnerable group such as Indigenous people, and they might have a doctor. They might also have the same need as you. By coordinating and speaking with them, you might find out that you can leverage off the doctor they have, or that you can pool your resources to make it even more attractive for a medical practitioner to move into the area, because they'd have more patients, because you can provide them with more backup and support. You might be able to coordinate and cooperate with business. Local government might, in this instance, build the medical centre. The thing that puts business off is risk. And if you can establish it as a viable proposition to run a medical centre in your area, then business is more likely to come in. So perhaps you invest in it, you set up the centre, you help them with applying for grants and IT problems and things like that. You give them in-kind support and you get the medical centre up and running with the view to divesting it, to selling it or leasing it as quickly as possible, because government oughtn't be in business ever. I've done videos on this. But maybe in this instance, to starting things off, is a way of coordinating business. Get the businesses, potential interested businesses in the room and find out what they would need for them to be willing to take this risk. But most importantly, I think the group that you could really benefit from coordinating with is the community. There's a couple ways. Think about my situation. I'm 80 kilometres away from my general practitioner. So I drive 80 kilometres each way to get a script or medical treatment if I need it. Okay, that costs me money. Would I be willing to patronise a medical practitioner if my local government could secure one for this general area? Knowing that they would definitely have my patronage makes it a more commercial proposition. Gives them a definite patient base to work with, makes it more attractive. So the community can coordinate and give an undertaking that they would patronise a new medical doctor if you got it. Could the community give an undertaking that they would pay a Medicare gap? That's more than what the federal government will pay the practitioner for each service. And lots of medical practitioners do charge a gap. Would the community be willing to do that? I certainly would. It's cost me $30, $40 in fuel to drive up there anyway, plus my time. More than happy to give the same $30 I would have spent in fuel to a local GP, save myself the trip, and have someone available should there be an emergency. So that's a way we can coordinate. But I think one of the more important things doesn't even involve money at all. Is the community willing to make a new general practitioner welcome? It's really tough breaking into a new community, particularly in a rural area, particularly if you come from another country. Could the community coordinate itself to go out of its way to make them welcome? Maybe provide them with some English lessons, maybe help settling the children in and teaching them about the different activities that are in the local area and things like this. it would make a huge difference. It would be the complete difference between securing a GP that doesn't hang around, and securing a GP that's a member of the community for life. So you can see, by coordinating, by cooperating, we can achieve far more than if the local government just took over the whole process. And more importantly, we become a community because we start striving for a common goal. So I covered this idea of the common good, and it's a critically important idea in my new forthcoming book called Saving Local Government. It'll be out January 2022 through Springer, who's my normal publisher. If you want to go looking for it, just type in Saving Local Government plus Springer plus Joseph Drew and it'll pop up. There's a little advert already. And as soon as it's available, you'll be able to order it online. The common good is the whole source of legitimacy and justification for government. It's the reason we have government, according to Aristotle, and it's my opinion too, is to facilitate the cooperation and search of common goals. And councillors have such an important role to play in this. You are the leaders of the community. You are representative of the community. You know people. You can get people to sit together in a room and work for a common interest. We can't do this without you. So if you've enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. It's so important, and disseminate it. Flick it off to one of your mates in another council. You know, the whole purpose of this YouTube channel is to help communities help themselves. And I can't do that without your help. I need to get my voice out there, my ideas out there, and I need to get your feedback too. And I can't do that unless you are helping me. So please, if you know someone in another local government area, please think about flicking them the link for the YouTube videos and encouraging them to subscribe also. Thank you very much for your time. Goodbye.